They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators.
Shut up. You didn't sleep.
First of all, I just want to say I'm grateful for Chuck Schumer today. He helped defeat a racist Jim Crow filibuster in the Senate. And to stand up against the racist Jim Crow filibuster tactics was a moment of pure courage, and I just think he should be lauded by anybody in any party for that. That's number one. Number two.
It's a deep cut. Let me just explain for people at home.
I'm just saying.
When there was a Democratic push against the filibuster, people in the Democratic Party were saying it was a racist era, Jim Crow era
and it was
tactic, the filibuster. So he's being cheeky.
And
all right, back to
not only that, but he saved us from the Democrats in the House, laying off every single veteran in the federal government. Chuck Schumer, working with Donald Trump, saved us from that. So I think he deserves a lot of credit this morning.
Scott,
every veteran would have been laid off. Every veteran would have been laid off.
Scott's having a lot of fun.
This morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democrats
want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as you saw, we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this. So that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had the vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely heavily upon the courts. And I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time. They are losing in court. Could we do a better job of making sure that the American people know that we are winning in the courts? We probably could. But at the end of the day, it's still Democrats that are winning for the American people.
Some progressive groups are calling.
Anybody want to tell the queen of the ghetto? Anybody want to let her know? Boy. What was going on, family? I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life. Yeah, it's not looking good for these Democrats. And this morning, they got the worst news yet as they hit the lowest approval rating of all time. Yeah, it's not looking good for Democrats, man. Yeah. But hey, what do you expect? Y'all got this lady. You know what? Just keep doing what y'all doing. Keep putting this lady on TV. Keep doing what y'all doing. You know, keep putting this lady right here on TV. Good luck. Good luck. You know. Oh, man.
For new leadership in the Senate for Democrats. Even House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, your leader, He was asked if he supports Schumer as leader of the Senate Democrats, and he said, next question. Do you think Senate Democrats should replace Chuck Schumer?
I think Senate Democrats have to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer is the one to lead in this moment.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is a really big moment. Yeah, they ought to walk. And not just Chuck. They all these leaders. What? A lot of them need to. I'm telling you, all these Democrats need to be walked out with their hands behind their back. They need to be fully investigated, audited, and walked out in handcuffs. Every last one.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger...
So I think it might be the last... This was the last election we had, huh? This was the last election we had.
Fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
All right, well, we're going to move on. The division within the Democratic Party is on full display as lawmakers are being called out over sudden change of heart after passing the GOP spending bill to avert a government shutdown.
Madeline Rivera joins us in Washington with the latest. Hey, Madeline.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Yeah, the backlash against Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for advancing the GOP stopgap spending bill is growing. One progressive group, Indivisible, is calling on Schumer to step aside. They say he gave up a rare moment of leverage for Democrats and, quote, surrendered to President Trump.
Why the hell he look like an evil villain? Look at Chuck ass. He look like one of them evil villains. That fella looked a little... I'm telling you, man. They ought to walk him out in handcuffs. Yeah. Walk him out right now. And take and there's a bunch of people they need to get gone, drag out with them too. Please.
Gave up a rare moment of leverage for Democrats and, quote, surrendered to President Trump and Republicans. The organization's co-executive director saying this: "We thank him for his service, but we need new leadership in this moment, and we understand to get there we need a chorus of support for change." There are
oh boy, let me go back to that one more time though. He looked like that grandpa that stole everybody money in the family and took it to the casino. And played it all, and then came back with nothing. I'm sorry, y'all. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Let's continue. I'm sorry.
And we understand to get there we need a chorus of support for change. There are reports that New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is being urged to primary Schumer next cycle, but she's getting some criticism from Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman over her call.
Take her back to the bar, please. She needs. Yeah. Well, you know what? This is why the Democrat Party is where it's at now. This is why. I'll be honest with you. This is why, man. You know.
To buck the Republican bill. Fetterman is saying, what's the exit plan once we shut the government down? What about all the millions of Americans who are going to have their lives damaged? What about the ones that won't have any paycheck? She'll have her paycheck, though. And former independent Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema is accusing Ocasio-Cortez and other lawmakers of hypocrisy for pushing the Senate Dems to filibuster the spending bill. Just a few years ago, you might remember they had wanted to get rid of the tool to pass former President Biden's agenda. The filibuster requires most bills to have have 60 votes to clear the Senate. But Ocasio-Cortez is pushing back against Sinema, saying she did not have a change of heart. Instead, she says the same Dems who argue to keep the filibuster for when we need it do not, in fact, use it when we need it. It's only used to block Dem policies, never to block harmful GOP ones. Could have proved this wrong. Instead, they proved the point. Charlie, Rachel, and Joey.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
You got it.
Because Chuck Schumer's been around a long time. And,
he has been.
And he knows what happens when there are government shutdowns, that usually the party that shuts it down gets blamed. So was he just saving, Charlie, I mean, you've been around D.C. a long time. Was he just saving the radicals in the party from themselves?
I can't figure it out because he's not a dumb guy. He handled this. This is the biggest disaster in terms of strategy that I think I've ever seen from him. It's a little bit of a reminder of what happens when, for whatever people think about Nancy Pelosi, she knew what she was doing. She knew how to wield power. And I do kind of wonder if some of this isn't the result of her absence, her withdrawing from center stage as leader of the party.
But was he wrong to, I mean, he gave the right advice, right?
He never should have allowed this to even become an issue because they are the party of government solves all problems. And then suddenly they're going to shut the government down, and which, of course, is exactly what Republicans want. And what you wind up with is they're saying, wait a second, you're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? Well, we're going to shut down the government so you can't do that, except shutting down the government only allows Trump to do that even more effectively. It is the dumbest thing I have ever seen out of a Democrat, because Democrats are usually really strategically so much smarter than Republicans.
And united.
Yeah, they never snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, which we've seen House Republicans do over the last couple of years. But, he came in the final hours like, well, okay, we're good with it, but only for these many days instead of those many days. And by that point, he's showing his cards are weak. And so they just had to vote for it.
And you see this generational divide, of course, AOC representing the newer, more radical end of the party. She's probably also 1,000 times better at messaging to the base than Chuck Schumer. So she's gotten a lot more sort of support. Yeah, there's a few, old school people, telling her to back down. But ultimately, whether Democrats like it or not, Charlie and Joey, she is the voice of the new generation of Democrats.
And who did Nancy Pelosi keep in her crosshairs more than anybody else? AOC.
Yeah.
She kept her in place.
And she kept her in line.
She recognized, she knew the threat.
Nancy Pelosi was very crafted, like we said, with House Democrats. I don't think Hakeem Jeffries has that same control.
Yeah.
And, we sit here and maybe you want to say President Trump broke the Democratic Party. I think common sense broke the Democratic Party. And President Trump was taking advantage of it.